Are you?
Rich, we're about. Oh, all right.
Did you stop it? Okay.
What's up, everybody? We are back. It's the Against the Spread College Football Edition podcast. Rich showing up late. Nothing to see there. Um, Pretty crazy week last week, guys. I'm gonna kind of jump right into it. We do have a guest this week, Jake. What's up, Jake? How you doing?
Hey guys.
Obviously, we got Beej and Rich, my normal co-host, with us. Um, But I kind of want to jump right into some of the things that we saw last week. I know that we were kind of harping on the Florida State team after the Georgia Tech loss, and it kind of rolled into this week, and they just looked very unprepared again. And the same thing I love that Nick Saban said is, you're going to go out and buy all these players. You better be damn sure you pay for the right ones. And I don't think
Mm-hmm.
they did. They paid for a lot of guys who could not get on the field at Bama, Georgia, Michigan, all these places that they went. And a lot of these guys can't get on the field or can't play well. And it's because work ethic. I don't think they're trying every play. I think they're taking some plays off. They're not doing exactly what their assignments are, and they're missing shit. And that happens when you go and you get these second, third string guys who can't get on the field of these bigger programs, and you're just trying to plug and play them.
Yeah, and
Um,
Zach, I want to stop you there. I think
go.
you're right. Um, First off, DJU is a complete fucking disaster. Like,
Yeah.
can we say all agree on that? Jake,
Yeah.
Brennan, Zach, yeah,
Oh yeah.
he's a complete disaster. He holds the ball way too long. It's absolutely disgusting how he plays quarterback. And when I watch it, I want to turn the TV off. But then their defensive line that has been touted as the best in the country for a week one, they all play. It's weird to see a defensive line play individualistic, if that makes sense to y'all. Like,
They
it
they don't
seems
look like
like,
they're playing on the same schedule. It's
yeah,
everybody's doing
it
their
looks
own
like
thing.
everybody's trying to make the NFL, right? Like, get to the next level, but at the same time, they're not like playing together. Like, they don't
Yeah.
have, like their gap
Hey,
assignments. They don't play together. They're just trying to rush the
and
passer.
I
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
yeah.
ahead, Brennan.
Go,
I
Brennan.
think I said that last week. I was like, I mean, yeah, it worked for him last year, but I was like, it only, it's not gonna work every time you just grab a bunch of guys out of the portal and
But that was year
throw them on the
two.
same field.
That was
Yeah.
year two of those guys. A lot of those
Yep.
guys transferred in 2 years prior. So that was
Yeah.
after 2 years being in that program, playing with each other.
I
Then they
don't
started
know.
playing well. But you
So
They
can't.
have a ton of plug and
yeah,
play guys. I
so
mean,
then it comes
But
back
I'm
to what the
saying, but
fuck from Norvell, like,
I
right?
yeah.
think podcast a bunch of guys saying the exact same thing. It's um you really need to understand that high school is still needs to be a priority. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
And when it comes to how Florida State has gone about that, they have gone less and less. And everyone knows the Colorado route does not work. Okay. You're
Yeah.
not going to win a national championship going that route.
Don't get started on
Um,
Colorado. That's a
but
whole
that's the thing.
other story, brother.
Jake, you got any opinions on the Florida State team?
Yeah. I mean, I think you look at Florida State. So the whole thing is Florida State had something to prove, right? They got left out of the playoff, 13-0, get killed by Georgia. That's not an excuse though, because they didn't send their guys, or it didn't matter to them. The season was over, but they've got something to prove this year. Who has something to prove? What impact player
Right.
on
Yeah.
that team last year was playing last November?
That's true.
I'm sure there's somebody, but I don't
There's
know.
one guy on the defense. One guy on the
Yeah.
defense.
Well, one guy, exactly. Like, there's no one there. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jake
That's
is
true.
exactly right. It's like, okay, what message are you sending last season? Losing, like, sitting all your starting players and then losing, what was the score? 63-13 or some
Yeah.
bullshit.
Three.
Yeah.
Just
the
three? They didn't even
Yeah.
score a touchdown. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
63. What message are you sending to your players? Losing 63-3 and sitting all your starters. Like,
Yeah.
Georgia sent a message to their players: we're here to play. Like, no matter what our program is here to win, regardless of what stage we're on. And then Florida State did the same thing. Oh, we got left out of the playoff. And then, you know what? They're there to what piss and moan.
Yeah.
I guess that's what it is. I mean, it seems very pretentious. The last two games, they
Rich,
seem
hold on.
not ready to play.
Let's talk about something that I want to say, because I was a little wrong in this, but I still feel like there's more to prove with this person. Drew Aller played a lot better than I thought, which means he improved which means he improved over the offseason. If you watched him last year, he made some bad decisions and they couldn't throw the ball very well. But when they needed to, they didn't need to throw the ball, okay, against West Virginia, but they did, and they did it very well and efficient. Okay. Yeah. Now, I do think the delay in that game where they got to sit for an hour and go write up some plays against whatever defense West Virginia was running and then come back and adjust helped. But neither here nor there, they were going to win that game either way, I think. But I'll just say I think Drew Eller has a lot to go in my eyes, but his traits definitely showed. And I know Brennan brought that up previously.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I mean, last year he literally dominated. I mean, Penn State dominated every team they played outside of the two best defenses in college football. Like, I know, yeah, it sucks because it was like, oh, the big games he sucked, but it was like those were the two best defenses in college football last year that he did bad against. Like, those defenses did that to every single quarterback they played against. Which, I mean, obviously you want to expect more from Penn State. You know, we all get hyped up on those games because, I mean, we all hate, as SEC guys, we all hate Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan, and we always want Penn State to win because they're the underdog and they just never perform. But, I mean, those were the only two bad games he had last year. Outside of that, he had a great season, and I think he's a good quarterback, and I hope he has better games against Michigan and Ohio State this year, they don't even play Michigan this year, so
yeah.
He doesn't have to worry about that.
Brennan, you're right. Yeah, I mean, if he continues improving, Brennan and Zach, if he continues improving, this is going to be a team that's like very scary. I just need to see how he does against, like you said, top defenses. I mean, West Virginia is obviously not a top defense, but we'll see. It's week one.
It's week one, and that's the good thing about it. We can overreact and make all these assumptions and what we think is going to happen, but truthfully, don't know. So let's go ahead on that point and talk about last week's games and overreact. We got Georgia versus Clemson.
Let's overreact on this one, baby.
And
Jake,
we brought on Jake. You know, specifically because during the podcast last week, he said, you know, Georgia's going to lose. Spread's not going to hit. Come on.
No.
I said, what if?
A lot of these things happened. So, you know, in my mind, and Brennan also, we're going to bring Brennan in this. Brennan said, hey, plus 14, Clemson, lock it in.
Okay, I never said that.
Lock it in all day. Best
bullshit.
Bet. I think it was like his best bet or something. But
nope.
I thought Georgia was going to win by 15-20. They won by way more. So love that for us. But
I thought Georgia was going to also win by plus 20. So, you know,
I think the biggest thing is right here when we're looking at this game is before the game, I said, hey, I don't think Cade Klubnik has improved as much as people think. I think he's still going to struggle in the areas that he struggled in last year. And during the game, he struggled in the same areas he struggled in last year. Okay. And it was very apparent. Now, there was he threw a couple NFL balls. Like that one on the sideline over Dalen Everett. Yeah, that was an nasty NFL ball. That's an NFL ball. It's dropped in the bucket. It's what you want. That might be one of the only balls all day that he threw that looked NFL. Okay. He's got to get better. The offensive play calling has got to get better. They looked bad. They looked sluggish. Nothing looked like it was working. If you saw the play on Twitter, they had a guard on right side pulling to the left side, a left guard pulling to the right. They didn't know what play they were running. It just seemed off. Everyone seemed off. And the defense was a highlight for them in the first half. And I think people are kind of mistaken because Georgia won 34-3. That wasn't a good defense. That's a great defense. Georgia just made impeccable.
That's a top tier defense.
Yeah, Georgia's stuff at the halftime was incredible, right? Our adjustments were incredible. Yep. We came in and immediately we thought they were going to be a man-to-man team, 2 safeties high, 1 safety high, press man all game. That's what they usually run. That is how that defense has been ran since Brent Venables was there, okay? They were running soft zone whole game. Whole game. They weren't running no man. And it confused Georgia in the first half, and you can tell. But even in the second quarter, you saw Mike Bobo starting to run, just getting a little wheel route behind the zone in the cover 3. There's no one there. Top pops it to him. It's wide open, right? And then we just started getting them, okay? I think that's the difference in that game was adjustments at halftime, and Clemson looked like they didn't make any, or they just couldn't make any, and that's the problem. It looked like they didn't want to lose too bad. They were punting down 21, you know, in the third, fourth quarter. You don't do that if you're expecting to at least make a comeback, right? So Brennan, do you have any thoughts on the game?
Yeah, no, it's crazy, like you look at games like that between two powerhouse teams. I mean, obviously it's weird to see Clemson like play that bad and like that undisciplined in a sense, see it like for instance, that play you mentioned about the offensive guards just running into each other. It's like, when have you ever seen a Dabo Swinney led Clemson team make those kind of dumb mistakes? And I mean, I just want to say, like, for that defense, Georgia's defense, 188 yards total for Clemson. Like, that's pretty insane. I mean,
Yeah.
to put that in perspective, Ryan Williams, who's a 17-year-old at University of Alabama, had 2 catches for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has more touchdowns than the entire Clemson offense already as a 17-year-old kid. I mean, pretty insane for that Georgia defense.
That's crazy. You know that stat, Alex.
Okay, one was
but
playing Western Kentucky, one was playing
okay,
Georgia.
but
Big difference.
Still, for a player with 2 catches. Anyway, for Georgia, I mean, one of my question marks was their running backs going into that game. But, I should have been smart and thought, hey, Georgia recruits 5-star after 5-star after 5-star. So Nate Frazier, absolute stud. And then also I saw Georgia had 8 different wide receivers, or eight different guys. Could have been a couple running backs mixed in there, but 8 different guys with 2+ receptions. That's pretty, means you got a lot of guys you're willing to give the ball to, and that just shows the amount of talent they got on that team. As always, not a surprise, but no, I mean, overall, Georgia was Georgia, and it was just more of a surprise on the Clemson side.
Yeah, Jake,
yeah, no,
you're
you're
go ahead.
You're 100% right. Klubnik was way underwhelming. And honestly, they had their chance in the first half. They had ample chance. Georgia's offense wasn't looking good. I mean, maybe because they confused them, like you said, Zach, but they weren't looking good. Klubnik just looked like shit, and they left the defense on the field for too long. Like we said that earlier, they left the defense on the field for way too long, and eventually Georgia figured it out and started scoring. So, at the end of the day, that's the game of football, and
Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I mean, so we were at the game, right? You get a different atmosphere. I had to go back and watch it. Just because, if you're at the game,
you were at the game with the fiance sitting away from you, so you were really locked in.
She got a free ticket. It was the whole story.
But she got a free ticket.
The whole story. From the rip, I mean, I looked over from my dad. You elect to receive on offense when the defense is your strong suit. Clemson elects to receive, and I get it. I get it. You're coming off a season where Cade Klubnik, not the greatest. I mean, he's so many questions, right? He's a 5-star number 2 recruit in the class. Go show it, basically. And that's what Dabo's like, hey, you've had a whole offseason. Let's go prove it to me. And that's what he even said, in pregame and preseason interviews and all this stuff. Dabo's like, he's doing it in practice. We just got to go see it in the game. Well, your first play, you threw it in the dirt. And if you look at it, that's a 20-yard gain, maybe more.
Oh, that play was wide.
Oh, that was bad. I forgot.
It was wide open.
First play. The second play, you get a drop. You throw it to your arguably number 1 playmaker, and he drops the game. It might have been the second or third play, but you have a huge drop.
Wasn't that a flag too?
Well, that was a flag. There was
illegal formation
for about 7 yards, and then you've got your 4th-year receiver that is supposed to be, this is his breakout year, right? I mean, for God's sakes, his nickname is Baby Julio.
Oh God!
Illegal formation.
I did not see a Baby Julio out there.
He is giant. He's 230 pounds. He's like, he is a giant. But
I saw that white tight end with the 1-hand catch.
Yeah, Burning Stool. He should be good. But I mean, they just didn't execute though. Like they had opportunities there. I mean, in the play calling, I thought it wasn't bad. It's just when you shoot yourself in the foot after a 20, you get a 20-yard gain, you get a penalty, you go up, you get a pass interference call, and he was the one where they put it back in his pocket. The Adam Randall, he got the flag pulled, and they put it back in. But you got to fight for that. You got to look like he's already pulled it out. But if you try and catch it like this, you're 6'3". You got to be able to
go.
Yeah.
So Jake, question for you: how much of this do you think is on Dabo?
I mean, he's a head coach, so you would say everything, right? But to an extent, you can't go tell him, hey, I mean, they called up the first play of the game, and your quarterback throws it in the dirt. Like,
yeah, but I'm saying player wise, I mean, there's a stark difference between Georgia and Clemson, right?
247 Sports would tell you otherwise.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
247, but
at the
Dabo
time-
hasn't gotten a player from the transfer portal in what, 2 years?
Never.
Guys,
yeah,
that's not with
he got a
that's
backup
not with him
quarterback,
not
but that
trying
doesn't
though.
count.
That's not with him not trying. He has
Yeah.
tried to get guys out of the
You
portal.
really think people
He just
wouldn't
has
want to go to
missed.
Clemson if
Well,
Dabo
missed.
doesn't?
their thing, what he said, but his thing is, I've given you the three main reasons. People, either they're not good enough in the portal, they know where they're going, or they're not a Clemson guy. Well, what's
Yeah,
a
they don't-
Clemson guy?
Okay, so
He's
the
not
question
gonna-
is, what is a Clemson guy? And that is on
He's
Dabo.
not. His thing is, he's not going to promise playing time to a kid or pay them before they get there. He's
Okay,
going
that's
to give
fine.
all that NIL money to Peter Woods, who was arguably the best player on the field at some points in that game. Just, I mean,
Him and Barrett
he's a
Carter,
monster.
very good.
Yeah, they're monsters.
Even Terrell was super good.
but I mean,
you would say what, 50% of that on Dabo? I mean, he definitely did not
you gotta
field
say
a
all
team.
I mean,
right?
I
He's the
don't
head
know if you
coach.
can put a
He's the head
start
coach.
if you can put a specific number or percentage on Dabo. I think there's a lot of things that go into it. I think high school recruiting goes into it as well. Look at the guys.
But
they've
high school
recruited.
recruits aren't playing in that game.
Rich, listen. Yes, they are. What are you talking about? From years and years, right? These are high
from
school
3
kids.
years ago.
Okay, yeah. But listen, these kids that are coming in from high school that they're recruiting there to Clemson from Georgia or places around the Southeast, they're not even a take at Georgia. Georgia ain't even looking at them, half these kids.
They used
You know
to be.
why? Because they ain't on the same caliber. Georgia's not even looking at those kind of kids anymore. And if you look at their best players, the only ones that Georgia's actually gone after was Barrett Carter and Woods.
But
Only
Zach,
two guys that Georgia really went
that's
after.
the point I'm making is Dabo has to recruit better if he's going to play this game.
But that also has to do. That's got to do with the scouts.
Yeah, or
that
he's
go
got to
and look
do a
for
transfer
him.
portal battle, right? Like he has to do one or the other better.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's what I'm saying is the high school recruiting has got to get better because you're not getting the caliber of guys that you used to get.
Yeah.
And then in the transfer portal, you're trying to get guys. You just have missed on some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
And everyone can act like he's
But-
not even touching the portal. The guy's touching it. He just can't get the guys.
They're
All
trying
of us-
on.
all
They
of-
offered a few linemen.
Yeah.
They did offer a few linemen. They're
But
just,
right, Jake, all of us can agree that the teams on the field were not the same caliber of players.
no, I mean,
not even close.
Well,
It sure
not-
didn't look
not-
like it.
Not many teams in the country do even. compete
Zach,
with
who is
this
that
roster.
safety? you know that safety's name that was a fucking stud. The freshman.
KJ
Georgia?
Bolden. Yeah.
KJ Bolden.
Yeah, he is a
All right.
he
Hey.
he's might
But
be
you
one of
look
the
at
best
Clemson-
Let's
safeties
move
I've
on
ever
to
Clemson
seen.
game.
let's
Sammy
move on to this
Brown.
next game, Jake. This Texas A&M Notre Dame game. I know we want to talk about that game all day. We could sit there and talk about it, but we got to move on a little bit. Texas A&M Notre Dame. This game was probably the highlight of the weekend, I would say, for most people. Besides another game that we thought was going to be a good game as well, USC LSU. But this game was great. I thought it was super cool to see Riley Leonard in there and then have his old coach coaching against him. You could tell it was a chess match. Like they knew exactly how Riley played, what were his weaknesses, and they were exploiting it. Their defense looked great. Texas A&M's defense looked great. Obviously, we knew it was going to look good. Offense looked a little sluggish. I think Connor Wegman might not be the guy.
Yeah.
And I will give this though. Notre Dame's secondary super good, but it's not like Notre Dame was getting home like super fast. Like they were just getting past the offensive lineman. It took a couple seconds, right? So he had time in the pocket. I think the Notre Dame secondary and the weapons that Texas A&M have just weren't mixing, and that's a problem there. With Notre Dame specifically, though, I think their offense is going to have to get a little bit more explosive and find out who their guys are. If they're going to want to win and get into the playoff and do everything that I think they're going to do, be a top 8 team this year. They looked like it, against that defense, but their offense is going to have to step it up, and Riley Leonard specifically is going to have to step it up. Brendan, you got some thoughts on it?
No, I mean, you would have thought this was kind of like the opposite, like a good team rolling into Notre Dame and they battle out a good win. But instead, like Texas A&M looked like they were on the road. I mean, you had Connor Wigman walking off the field in the third quarter throwing up because it looked like, I don't know, was he nervous? Who knows? But I mean, yeah, he just looked awful. I mean, the offense was just not humming. I mean, Wigman threw 2 interceptions. But the most impressive thing to me was my biggest question mark last week was, how is this Notre Dame offensive line going to hold up against this defensive line for Texas A&M? And they only allowed 1 sack. I mean, in Kyle Field, one of the, if not the loudest stadium, but definitely top 5 loudest stadiums in the country. I mean, they go in there, they only allow 1 sack, and Notre Dame rushes for just under 200 yards. Like, that's pretty damn impressive. And that's, I think, what ultimately won them the game. What I thought Texas A&M would have done to stop Notre Dame from winning that game, Notre Dame did. And I mean, doesn't help when your quarterback, Connor, I mean, 12 for 30 with 100 yards. That's in 2 picks. That's pretty damn bad in your own field.
It's not great at all.
But so, I mean, and goes to show, Notre Dame's defensive backs, they've got one of the best defensive back rooms in the country. So kudos to them. Definitely shocked me. I had Texas A&M winning that game, but yeah, Notre Dame, they impressed me. I think their schedule is one of the easiest in the country. So they could very easily go 12-0. If not 11.
I don't know if they have one of the easiest. I mean, they do have some teams.
I mean, in terms of a top 10 team,
Oh yeah.
Right,
I mean, I think they're not playing like they're not playing. Georgia has to play the number 3, 4, 5 team.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of sucks. But go ahead, Rich.
No, I'll be quick. So Texas A&M's quarterback Weigman was, I think he was underwhelming. Weigman, how do I say that?
Connor Weigman. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. I think it was underwhelming. I think if Texas A&M's going to take that next step as a program, they need that guy, like that guy. And he's not that. But I do think I agree with Beach that Notre Dame offensive line played way better than our expectations. Last week, I think me and Brennan were both off of Notre Dame because you're going into enemy territory, one of the loudest stadiums in the country, and you have an offensive line that's really young, or at least hasn't had a lot of starts.
Combined starts.
Yeah, I love Notre Dame though. I thought
we were off that.
Win that game.
Me and
Brennan
were both off that, and you know what? They came in and fucking proved it. I'll be honest. Look at a lot of these games though, like specifically what I thought when it came to that game was that Riley Leonard was going to be the difference with his experience. And it really, I mean, who did bad on Texas A&M? Their quarterback. Yeah.
Okay, the quarterback was the position there that you needed to look for. I feel like a lot of things were even, but the quarterback position was not, and that's what I thought, and that's why I went with Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Jake, dude, I've seen some videos also, and they looked amped up to play. Like Notre Dame looked amped up to play. Like they came into the fucking Kanye thing, and they still looked amped. Like they weren't scared at all. They came in like head banging, ready to go. And
I've got 2 things. First off, it was a real knife in the heart to watch former Clemson receiver Bo Collins have a really good game versus Notre Dame, just because transfer portal. I mean, why not? Of course, he was going to do what he did. Secondly, we've talked about 2 quarterbacks so far: Cade Klubnik and Connor Wegman, and Drew Aller. Those are your top 3 quarterbacks of the 2022 class.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Not great.
We didn't talk about Carson Beck. He's number 1, and then y'all.
But none of that.
No. The class of 22 that graduated high school. I think
Carson's like 2020 or 2021 or something.
Yeah, he's old.
Cade and Connor, I think 20 years old, and Carson's like 22.
Yeah, but, Carson's was in high school or college. I mean, when I was there, still like my sophomore or junior year. So
he's been there for
2020. He's been there for a minute.
But I mean, I'm no quarterback evaluator, but they're debatably 0 for 3.
Shocking.
If you go look at the class, you've got Ty Simpson in that class that hasn't really played. Gunnar Stockton, Malik Murphy.
Yeah,
the best quarterback in that class is Noah Fafita. out of Arizona.
Yeah, definitely.
And
He
he's
was
like
like
40.
phenomenal.
But
Yeah.
so that's just kind of what stuck out to me in that game. And really this whole weekend is just you chalk the quarterback rankings up to COVID. I mean, there's junior and senior year high school where they're affected from scouting and all that stuff. And you say maybe next year. So
yeah, right.
That's how I think. That's how I think
was-
about the quarterbacks as well with that class specifically. Like everybody that I think has been lackluster or not lived up to the hype has been in that class, and I didn't even think about it like that. But that's a great point you bring up, Jake.
Another question for the group. Connor, he was Texas A&M's quarterback last year, right? That was going to start.
He got hurt.
Well,
early.
he
He was out for the season from a foot injury.
They
yeah, and
expected
then
this to do them
Max
well
Johnson
last
came
season.
in. Well,
Yep,
he
that-
did well. He was doing well when he was in last
Yeah.
season.
He was fine.
Okay.
And then
he got
Max
hurt
Johnson
early.
came in. Yeah. So, but let's move on to this Miami-Florida game. This kind of went exactly how I thought it was going to go. I thought Florida was
No
super
way.
bad. I thought Florida was super bad, and I thought Miami was very good. Now, you're talking about getting the right pieces for your team.
Yeah.
Miami did
Yeah,
that
Miami
on
did
both
that.
sides of the ball. On both sides of the ball. They
Yeah.
went and spent the money, but they spent it well. And it showed. I think FSU, like we talked about, FSU did not get Cam Ward, and they got scared, and they were like, let's get the best guy available, and that was DJ. Okay. Miami went and got their guy,
Jake's laughing.
and it's worked out for them. I thought that everything that Miami did offensively was exactly kind of how I thought. A lot of it, like a lot of the offense, Cam Ward looked like he improvised a little bit on some things, and that's kind of what I thought was going to happen. He was going to improvise. He was going to get out the pocket. He was going to throw on the run, and he did throw a pick in the first half doing that, but he settled in a little bit in the second half, and he lit him up. And that was adjustments as well by the coaching staff that did really well. So Florida's defense can't hold that long, dude. Like if your offense isn't doing well at all, 0 points, I think they had 7 or whatever, but still just they were not moving the ball and their defense was constantly on the field. Miami, if they're getting that many looks at you as a coaching staff, as your defense, they're going to find some holes. And they found them and they exploited it. Brennan, you have any thoughts on the game?
No, I mean, yeah, I definitely thought Florida would put up a little bit of a better fight, with Billy Napier talking about, this is our year. I've cleaned out the system. This is, I feel like this is finally my year after reconstruction. And, I knew Miami was the better team. I talked about it last week. I was like, I think Miami overall just has a better roster and they're going to win this game. But I think Florida could, make it a little worrisome there for a little while. But yeah, clearly not the case. Miami is hit on all cylinders in that game. Every piece they brought in was a success. And it just goes to show what a single position can do for a football team. Like bringing a quarterback in like Cam Ward. I mean, Miami last year, pretty damn good football team, but their quarterback threw an interception for every completion he had almost. Like, I mean, I think he led the league in
I don't know if that's a
interceptions.
stat. Let me.
I don't know if that's very accurate.
No, that's what it felt like, I mean, he was throwing 3 interceptions a game and they were losing games because of that. And so it's, when you bring in a guy like that, that's how much a single position, and the quarterback position is the most important position in this game, I think. And I mean,
how underrated was Cam Ward too, dude?
Dude,
he's legit.
I'll get into that in
underrated.
a second. I'll get into that in a second.
But
Go ahead.
I'll tell
Go
you,
ahead,
man.
Rich.
Hold on. I just want to point out, Graham Mertz, 11 for 20 with 91 yards and an interception.
Bad.
I'll get into that in a
That's
second.
pretty
too.
bad. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
for a guy who has experience and really had a pretty good season last year, that is not how you want to see them open up. And now is that more of he just had a really bad game, or is Miami really like that? So we're gonna find out. It's week 1, but if you ask me, Miami's top 10 team for sure in terms of talent and I mean coaching staff all around. That's a good football team.
I agree. I want to see them against better competition first.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how much better you can get in the ACC. But I still think there are some good teams that they're going to play.
Yeah, and to mention they went on the road in at
going
Florida,
to the swamp's not very easy. Yeah, it's not easy. Go ahead, Rich.
No, so I think Mertz is definitely not your guy at Florida. I don't know why they kept him in all game, but they did. And then Ward for Miami, holy shit, he looks like breathtakingly good. At least against Florida, he looked insanely good. He was doing that little backpedal thing where he'd like walk he'd walk back in the pocket and just like drop it off like he was fucking bored. That's insane to me. Like all the stuff he was doing it just looks so smooth.
Patrick
And, like,
Mahomes-esque.
yeah, no, well, maybe not Mahomes-esque, but like it just looked like he didn't give a shit when he was in the pocket. Like he knew exactly what read he was going to make. He knew exactly if he was going to run. And that's honestly, that's scary. The only thing I think can hold Miami back is Cristobal. Other than that, I think they have the team to make the playoff, if not go to the Final Four, if not win. I mean,
yeah, he did really well. He coached a really, really good game. And I think it wasn't surprising, but it was nice to see him actually coach a good game. Jake, you got any thoughts on it?
Yeah, Jake.
I'll just be interested to see where Florida goes from here.
Yeah.
DJ Lagway is supposed to be getting the start this weekend because Graham Mercer's out with a concussion. I think you stick with him. Billy's on the hot seat. That might be the only thing that keeps his job.
You have to,
because if he gets fired, who says DJ doesn't leave? You never know.
So right.
That's exactly what I said
Jake
last week.
So right.
That's a great point.
Good take.
Thank you guys.
Jake is so right here.
I'll be interested to see I don't know. I should know who they played this week, but
Samford.
We're not
let's
there.
Move to this.
So one of my buddies. Let's stay on
Rich,
this point. One second.
We gotta go.
I understand, but one of my buddies said that like Napier only has his job because of Lagway. Like if he leaves,
no, I think if they don't fire him, it's because they don't want DJ Lagway to leave.
Yeah.
After this year. But if they fire him,
said that last
you're
week.
basically sending him home, and that's
So why not
started the
start
roster almost probably because
the last ditch effort.
And you hire and you play DJ. That's what I think. Let's go to USC LSU. I did not like this game last week, and I told you guys I thought it was going to be boring. I thought I wasn't going to like it. I thought the defenses were going to suck.
Head analyst,
bullshit.
I
really just misjudged it. I mean, I don't know. My thoughts last week were, hey, if the defenses look better and Miller Moss and Nussmeier look like how everyone says they're going to look, it's going to be a super fun game. And then it's exactly how it turned out, which is not how it ever turns out in reality for those kind of games, right? Like you never hear people go, dude, I'm telling you, USC and LSU they arguably two of the worst defenses in FBS last year in big conferences. Two of the worst defenses, they're going to turn around and have a actual good defense on both sides of the ball. And both their first starting quarterbacks are going to have amazing games against those defenses.
Yeah.
Never expected it. The play calling was beautiful. The throws were great. NFL plays all over the place. And I just loved watching both teams play because you really didn't expect it, or I didn't. And I really enjoyed it because I thought it was super exciting to see Miller Moss play so well after Caleb Williams leaving and Nussmeier playing so well after Jaden Daniels, the Heisman players winning. So the two Heisman leaves, and you basically put guys in there that are going to start for you for 2 more years, and they're great. Brendan, you got any thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, it was crazy to see this game because that's what we talked about last week is, hey, which defense is going to show up more? And I don't think any of us thought they were going to show up this good. Like I still could have seen this game,
either.
Being like a 38-35 kind of game. And that's still, a step up from last year. Because last year, if these two teams would have played, it probably would have been like
65 to
60 or something.
Yeah.
So it was, I mean, to see the final score was only 27-20 and, Miller Moss 27 for 36 with 378 yards and Nussmeier 30 for 39 with 308 yards. Like that's pretty damn impressive. And
both efficient,
and a very good football game back and forth the whole time. I mean, just it shocked me to see that, honestly. I mean, now I'm gonna be honest, I was having a little too much fun Sunday, so I didn't actually sit down and watch this game. I got caught back.
I appreciate the honesty.
But no, it's crazy to see. I feel bad. I had my buddy in his work league, they do a college football pick 'em in the SEC, and I told him to pick LSU. So that was bad. He's out in the first week, but yeah, no, I mean, overall impressed by both defenses. I look forward to see how they improve from here. And USC, wow. I mean, how can you turn around a defense that quick?
Yeah. My hot whatever prediction last week was Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley is going to be gone, or at least on the hot seat by the end of the season. That's gone.
If he continues that, what he did,
no fucking shot. That was
Honestly,
beautiful.
I just think winning
Dude,
that game is going to keep them in a spot.
Yeah,
Oh,
easy.
yeah.
that was beautiful
Easy.
defense. Honestly, both teams played beautiful offense, beautiful defense. That was the best game of the weekend for me.
100%.
And USC coming out and playing that tactical, which I thought Lincoln Riley could only play offense, but his defense was fucking so sound. It was amazing. Yeah, Nussmeyer, I told y'all before the podcast, I was talking to y'all, and I didn't like. I was like, oh yeah, Nussmeyer was what 20 for 24 in the first half with 200 yards. There's no shot. I thought that they only had what they had, which was like 14 points, and you look up, oh, it's only 14-7 right now. The USC is still in the game, and I was like, when I was watching, I was like, how long can USC keep up this defense? Like, how
LSU should have
long?
won that game, in my opinion. I think
How
LSU
long
played
can
better.
USC bend without breaking? And they never broke.
Yeah.
That's the honest
Yeah.
opinion. Jake, what
Jake,
you
you got
got?
any opinions on
Yeah.
it?
I mean, Miller Moss was celebrating his Heisman. He looked like Matt Leinart out there, but
Yeah.
it was fun to watch. The thing with
If he
USC
keeps
though,
that up, though,
USC might go lose next week. You never know, dude.
Yeah.
Just so it's too early. But it was fun to watch. I mean, especially for Sunday night. No one expect like.
Oh
it's a good
yeah,
time.
I really don't think anyone expected it to be the best game of the weekend, and
No,
it really
no.
was. So that was super fun.
you
to just,
didn't
like,
for
jump into
sure,
that.
Zach.
I did not. I definitely did not.
Zach didn't
let's
even
go.
want to talk about that.
Yeah, no. Let's go into our games for this week. There are not a lot of games that are like star-studded like last week. I think last week there was a lot of good games. This week, first one we got Texas versus Michigan. I truthfully think that Texas is going to put a little bit of a beating on Michigan, and it might not show like on the score. It might not show like, hey, 42-10, but I think that they're going to win by like 10 plus. And that's just because of all the weapons that Texas has and how good they looked offensively. Their offensive line looked great. Their defense was moving. Okay. I loved everything about their team. Michigan, they struggled, but that happens sometimes in these first games. You'll see people struggle in the first game against a lesser opponent, and then the next week they'll go and beat a big team, like a top 10 team. It happens. So that could happen. I just don't foresee it happening. I think Texas is going to win handedly. Brennan, you got thoughts on it?
No, I mean, I definitely see Texas has now joined the Georgias and the Ohio States of the world. I mean, I think their roster competes with anyone in terms of just talent everywhere. And they're going to continue. I mean, NIL rolls around. I think none of us are surprised that the University of Texas is obviously a huge player in that. And so I think, the biggest shock here, because we haven't really talked about Michigan yet, is that Alex Orji did not get the starting job. We got Davis Warren out there starting for Michigan. And I heard,
I still don't think they have a decision yet.
What I thought was
I
a
think
great
it's more
point,
like both.
Yeah. What I thought was a great point about Josh Pate mentioned. He was like, Michigan wanted Alex Orji to win this job the entire time. So they're styling their offense around that kind of quarterback.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden Davis Warren comes in and wins this job. And now they're kind of like, oh shit, like now we got to plan a new offense almost. And you could see that in the first half against Fresno State. I mean, they really didn't pull away till the end of the game. So, I mean, not a great showing from them against the weaker opponent. But yeah, I mean, I think Texas, a lot of seniority around there, a lot of guys who have been there. I mean, Quinn Ewers, obviously third-year starter, same head coach, same offensive coordinator. Like, that's a team that knows what the hell they're doing when they're walking into a place like this. Obviously went on the road and beat Alabama in a big matchup in week 2 of last week 3, whatever it was. But I mean, I think Texas does it again. I think Michigan down the road could be a strong team to play. But right now, I simply don't think they're ready to play a team like Texas. So I definitely got Texas covering that spread.
You got them covering 7.5.
Yeah.
I got them covering 7.
Okay, 7. 7's fine. 7.5. I think it's crazy. I got this this Texas shirt on for this podcast.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I think they're gonna beat the shit out of Michigan. Honestly, look, 7.5 is a lot, but I think the game is gonna feel like Zach said, like a ass beating. I don't think Michigan has the pieces yet. They have a new head coach. They have all this shit. They have all these wheels moving, and Texas has basically the same squad minus some defensive parts, and you don't need defensive parts to beat Michigan. So, yeah, no, I'm big on Texas on this game, and I don't really care. It's in the big house. It doesn't matter to me.
Go ahead,
Jake.
Jake.
I mean, that's the only thing that I think could keep Michigan in it is the home field advantage. I mean, it's like it holds like 110,000 or 100. It's insane.
Yeah,
the
something
amount
crazy.
of people it holds. Yeah, and so it's a big game, obviously, big environment. You never know what could happen. But I think Texas handles it. Neutral side, I think Texas is favored by at least 11.5.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Next game we got Georgia Tech and Syracuse. I'm going to keep this short just because we're running on a little bit of a time crunch, but I really like both teams in a sense of I think Georgia Tech, we've only seen them play, once against a great opponent. And then Georgia State last week, they stopped them in the red zone a couple times. And that made the score look a little bit better. And they covered the spread and all of that. But they still let them get all the way down the field. They just stopped them on 4th down. And that's a lesser opponent. So now, you're playing a Syracuse team, which have an experienced quarterback in Kyle McCord, even though I don't think he's that great still. I think he played really great, and he might be working really well in that offense. They have some great weapons. Fran Brown coming from Georgia has really built that program up in just 1 year. So super excited to see the game. I'm not going to bet on this game. I'm not going to go Georgia Tech -3 or anything because I'm kind of nervous because Syracuse looked good last week. And I just haven't seen enough of Georgia Tech to really trust them that much yet, even though I trusted them to beat FSU. So, Brennan, you got any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'll piggyback on what you're saying. I saw enough from Syracuse last week where they gave up 255 rushing yards to Ohio, and Georgia Tech loves to run the ball. So yeah. I think that's the deciding factor in this game. I mean, for them to give up 255 rushing yards against a team like Ohio, imagine what Georgia Tech can do to them. Yep. And Georgia Tech's just, I mean, that's a team, even though they're going on the road, I don't know much about Syracuse's stadium, but I don't think it's too much.
It's pretty sick. It's a dome. It's sick.
Yeah, I mean, I think Georgia Tech. I'm gonna.
No,
hop
it's like dope.
Tech.
Like that game is so that dome is so fun to watch. Yeah. It's super.
Camera
cool.
angles are terrible.
Yeah,
camera angles are bad.
The camera angles are awful.
They're bad, but it's super cool to watch because it's like you can tell it's like very enclosed and it's super loud. I think it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely I'm hopping on the Georgia Tech hype train, man. I love Haynes King. I love what they got going on there. And it against Florida State, it looks like they were able to get pressure on the quarterback. I mean, Florida State at the end of the day still has some good players on their team. They were able to apply a lot of pressure on the quarterback against them. So if Syracuse has to rely on Kyle McCord, I mean, I know he's probably grown from last year, but we saw him in big games last year. It wasn't the most impressive thing. So I think Georgia Tech handles that game.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same train. Georgia Tech, if they can run the football, everybody acts like Haynes can't throw at all. This guy
he can. He's just not the best at it.
I mean, I wouldn't even say that. He can throw the football. Yeah,
he's just not the best at it.
He hasn't done it yet, but he can throw the football. And, if they make him throw, he's going to throw. So, I think this -3 Georgia Tech line is kind of interesting.
It's a little scary.
I'm
not touching it with a 10-foot pole.
No, I agree with you, Zach. I think that line's kind of scary. But if I was gun to my head, I had to pick somebody, I would pick Georgia Tech in this game -3. So,
Jake,
I'm all in on Georgia Tech, man. Me and Haynes King go way back about 31 days. But me and him are close. Buzz. I'm taking him. I like his game. I like he's a competitor. Look, run it.
I love it.
Let's take a moment. Georgia Tech could be, before they played Notre Dame, 6-0.
Yeah,
that'll be awesome, and I think it could happen. I think it
very
easily could happen.
Yeah.
Let's go into this next game. We got Tennessee and NC State. I think Tennessee is going to run through their ass.
Mm-hmm. Here we go.
And I think
last week, Zach said he hated Tennessee. And
No,
they sucked.
no.
This week, here we come.
No.
Here we come.
No. I said last week I needed to see what Nico looked like
Yep.
in general, just against a team. I don't even care who it is. I just need to see him. I need to see how he plays. You see how he runs that offense. He ran it great. He played it great. And I knew their defense was going to be good, right? I told you guys that last week. I said the defense is going to look good, but I'm nervous about the offense because I don't know what Nico is going to look like. Everybody was saying he was going to be good. I need to see it for my own eyes. I don't trust – people thought fucking Kyle McCord was good last year until he shit on the bed so many times, right? And even after, they still said he was good. I need to see it for myself, right? And I think I did, and I think he's really good. I think NC State struggled last week against a lesser opponent, and they probably could have lost that game if that team actually hit their stride at the right time. So I think it's. I don't think it's going to be close. I got Tennessee -7 all day.
Yep.
Brennan?
No, I heavily agree with you. I think Nico looks like an absolute stud. I know we had to see him. I mean, I was high on him already, but I mean, dude was making insane throws out there. And obviously I know it was against Chattanooga, but making some absolute insane throws to start it out and just never looked nervous once in that game. And NC State, looked pretty bad. I mean, Western Carolina is not a tough opponent to play. And NC State is one of those teams, always relies on their defense. And I think last year's NC State I don't even know if they would have given up a touchdown to Western Carolina. So the thing was like, okay, NC State, their defense is going to get a little worse because they had some big guys go off to the NFL.
Yeah.
But their offense was going to get a little better because Grayson McCall comes in, very experienced quarterback. Well,
who knew he couldn't read a defense?
Yeah. Defense looked.
Let's take
who knew he was going to struggle?
Yeah,
Let's take a timeout.
Defense definitely changed.
There's no timeout, Rich. That man struggled against not a very complex defense that Western Carolina
I'm going to
had.
rip this whole argument to shreds. Brennan, continue.
I mean, yeah, no, I just don't think they're the team that everyone thought they were going to be. And I think James Pierce for Tennessee is going to wreak some havoc on Grayson McCall. So
Go ahead, Rich.
Tennessee wins heavy.
All right. So guys, the week 1 was what? The week of the dog, right?
4 days ago.
The dog. Hey, everybody, it's the week of the dog. No?
I don't know what that means.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
It was the week of the underdog. It was the week of taking a
not for any of my
10.
picks. Not for none of my picks.
Motherfucker, you went 1-1. So, let the 2-0s
sorry.
talk.
I thought
Let
I won.
the 2-0s talk.
I thought I won like $400 this weekend. That's my fault. I'm sorry.
Hey, don't unit chin.
There you go. Hey, throw that in the ATS.
An under didn't hit that I picked. That's crazy.
Okay, but it was the week of the dogs, and I think it was the week of the dogs because a lot of these teams are figuring out what it takes to be an FBS team when you're working together, right? Like you have, let's say, you have a bunch of recruits that you paid $200,000 to come come play at your school, right?
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure that shit out week 1.
Mm-hmm.
I would say NC State is closer to that than most. And so Tennessee going into NC State and beating them by 10 is kind of crazy for y'all to just assume because they beat Chattanooga.
Well,
I got the spread
is a neutral
7.
side.
I got the spread at 7.
If you got the spread at 7, that's fine. But if you got it at
Jake,
10,
go ahead. I would take him at 10 too.
Jake, go ahead. Fuck you.
NC State's receiver, Casey Concepcion.
I knew you were going to say his name.
He's a dang good player.
Concepcion.
So I think that's how he says his name.
Oh yeah,
he's a dang good player. Tennessee's secondary is always pretty constant in their woes. I'm not really until proven otherwise. I'm not going to be high on them. Chattanooga doesn't count. Grayson McCall,
Chattanooga doesn't count. There you go, Jake. Thank you.
But that being said, I do think Nico's that guy. I think Tennessee 10 by 10 is a safe pick.
Yeah, love it. Good, Jake. It's very smart of you.
Yeah, fuck you. Zach. You know what?
I'm gonna go ahead.
You're not scared of Tennessee, but then you say this.
I'm not scared of Tennessee, but I think their offense is. They're playing NC State.
If Georgia
kid.
comes
You
out
act
with
like
a
they're
line on
playing
Tennessee,
the best team
okay.
in the nation.
If,
They're not.
If Tennessee comes, are they playing at Georgia? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're
7.5.
gonna play at Tennessee.
Georgia minus 7.5. You're gonna take
Georgia's
Georgia
gonna be-
minus 7.5.
Right now, Georgia would be favored by like 14 if they played right now.
Are you taking
over?
Are you taking
All
that?
right.
No, I probably wouldn't right now. I'm kind of
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
But,
You got that much faith in Nico.
Let's see what everyone's picks are. For this week, I already told you guys in some of those games that we just talked about. I like Tennessee minus 7. I don't think it's that. I don't think the spread is at that right now. I took it way earlier in the week, and I like Texas minus 7. That might still be at 7. But that's what I got it at earlier in the week. It might be hard for you guys to go and get that now, but if you can go get either of those, I think you take it and you hit it hard. Dude, even if you wanted to buy the fucking half a point and go 6.5 for Texas, if you don't think they're going to win by more than 7, then do it, because I think it's a pretty safe bet. But last week, I think we went 4-2 as a pod. Was that right?
Yep. I mean, I guess you could technically say 3-2 because y'all had the same pick.
It's whatever.
Y'all had the same pick on one of your picks, but I mean, yeah, technically 3-2, but 4-2. We'll take it.
I mean, I don't know. I think technically it would be 4-2, but if you're
I
talking
guess
about,
you're right. You're right.
but okay, so, but yeah,
we're
whatever.
on
4-2,
a positive
it's not bad.
betting streak right now.
Doesn't matter.
I think we started off last year like fucking 0-6.
0-7. Yeah,
like we did
it was
awful.
It was
But
bad.
and you'd think being that far into the season we'd have more or better picks. But Brennan, go ahead with your 2.
I'm gonna go. So at first I wasn't gonna touch this game, but I dug into it and I spoke on it earlier. Well, no, actually, no, I didn't. But Iowa State. So I was worried. I didn't want to touch this game, but Iowa State actually gave up 174 yards on the ground, an average of 4.1 yards per carry against North Dakota, and Iowa is a damn good rushing football team. So I'm going to take Iowa minus 3. I mean, and they showed in that second half. Iowa showed in that second half against Illinois State that they could actually spread the ball out and score. I mean, they were only up 6-0 at half. They walked in the locker room. They were like, all right, let's start doing something. We thought we were going to do this. Let's spread it out a little bit. Let's throw the ball. Cade McNamara surprised everybody, threw the ball a little bit. And I think they covered that spread. Iowa State did not look good against North Dakota. So I think Iowa, it's only 3 points, man. They're at home. I think they can cover that. Second pick, I'm going to take, I think I already mentioned, I'm going to take Georgia Tech minus 3. I mean, Syracuse allowed 255 rushing yards against Ohio.
I don't hate the reasoning behind your pick either.
Yeah.
I think it's a good. I think.
I think it's a little alarming on the only thing that alarms me is the spread number. Like I would have expected,
that
like
it's only 3.
like
that's
5.5, 6. So that's a little scary. But
that's gonna push.
Maybe Georgia Tech just hasn't earned their stripes yet. I guess I don't know. Syracuse and I think Georgia Tech is going to run all over them. I only think that helps Syracuse's home field advantage. But no, I think Georgia Tech handles that game.
Go ahead,
minus 3.
All right, so I got Arkansas State plus 7.5. I'm going against the mullet this week.
Who are they playing? Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State. Yep.
They're only 7.5 point favorites.
No, underdogs.
I'm talking about Oklahoma State.
Yes. You really think Oklahoma State is gonna
against Arkansas State?
Arkansas.
Okay,
like
you said Arkansas
State.
State.
Oh, okay. You did say Arkansas State.
Okay,
I was like,
you said Arkansas State, which was crazy because I was like, that's only 7.5. Yeah, his
Arkansas State. Arkansas. I still would have taken it with Arkansas State. That's my dynasty team.
No, I don't hate that. I don't hate that.
I really think the quarterback that's coming for Arkansas is like, I mean, he's not great in terms of SEC, but in terms of any other conference, he could be a top tier quarterback. So I'm going to take that against Arkansas State, and especially at plus 7.5. So
you keep saying Arkansas State. Jesus
Christ.
He
loves Arkansas State. He's got.
What's your next pick? What's your next pick?
I had one. Y'all made me forget it.
For the viewers, Rich had a lake day for work, so he had a little fun.
Had a little fun today.
Give it to us,
dude. I'd text y'all the other pick. Let Jake go before.
Jake,
I'll get my pick last.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I've got Kentucky -9 versus South Carolina. South Carolina's going to Kentucky.
Good pick.
South Carolina should have lost to Old Dominion last week. Quarterback fumbled on his own 10-yard line. It was his first game. The only bright spot I really saw for South Carolina was their defensive end. Dylan Stewart, I think his name is. He's a beast.
Yeah.
He'll probably be playing at Ohio State next year, to be honest.
Yep.
But so I think that's
or Georgia, depends on who.
Or Georgia, yeah, exactly. But I think that's an easy pick. Beamer's already said, "Hey, we are 88 days away from Clemson." He said that this week. That's kind of crazy.
That's crazy. He might be the dumbest coach sometimes.
He's gonna get fired. He's actually gonna get fired.
He might be on the schedule. He's on the hottest seat.
He's got a tough schedule, and he doesn't have a DJ Lagway to save him. So
go ahead, Jake. What's your second pick?
I'm going to take the Georgia Tennessee Tech spread. I'm going to take Tennessee
53.
Tech. Yeah, 53.5 is so many points.
You're taking Tennessee Tech plus the points.
Correct.
Okay, I like that. I actually like that. Yeah.
Georgia's probably going to pull the guys and just get some. They're going to run the ball. They're going to get the freshmen the touches. And we don't know if Etienne's going to play or not. I don't think. Not that really has an effect on the game, but in the spread, they're going to run the ball a lot. That's time's going to tick, and the games are going by so fast already this year.
I like that. I would even take the under.
That's one of those spreads I would actually take. I do not like.
Go ahead, Rich. 53. What's your second pick?
All right, last pick. Y'all were talking shit, so I'm taking it. It's NC State plus 10.
God, so stupid.
So stupid. They're gonna. It's at NC State. They're gonna mesh a little bit better.
Hey, let me tell you something. It's not at NC State. It's a neutral field. It is in North Carolina, but it's a chart.
Panthers play, right?
It's where Georgia and Clemson played a couple years ago.
Tennessee is right there.
Well,
no one cares. Fuck you.
We had a great little...
Fuck Beach. You know. Well, hey, he's 1-1 podcast. I am 2-0. So let the viewers know. Let the viewers make the viewers aware.
Okay, listen,
Zach, you're 1-1. It was
a pleasure having you here on the podcast, man. We had a lot of fun today. A lot of hot topics. It was super fun to talk about. Rich, obviously, very excited as always. But thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope you have a great night. See you guys next week.
All right.
See ya.
See ya.